Alrighty, check. Welcome, guys.
You'll see.
Welcome to the Walker
why don't you just
Walker Dogger.
slug a beer, put on your best vest, and get your ass downstairs, because
Just slap your big boy pants on, real quick. You know,
we got work.
got some work to do, buddy.
shit pants, big boy pants, whatever pants.
Just the pants.
Hey, what are they doing to Charlie?
You really don't want to be around Charlie with the dick out. Put the pants on. Oh, God.
My God, that's way more guts than I thought a Walker would have at this point in the rotting stage.
Oh, yeah, right? You think of just kind of disintegrate. Or be like real mealy, like soup.
The other one's like, hey, what about me?
Oh, God.
Oh,
They're getting their real deep flag.
gotta lick it before you stick it, but in this case...
Well, that was just kind of barely slamming. Oh, God. Welcome, guys, to the Walker Talkers, brought to you by PanNerdia. I'm Aaron.
I'm Pete.
And this is Lucille on fire.
Yes.
And man, do we got a lot to talk about with episode 12. Boy, oh boy, was it a fire episode?
Yes, it was. For the last few episodes of this show, the Walker Talkers, I've been begging for production to have Lucille set aflame in front of Negan. Now, hopefully to ashes, but in this case not to ashes, but it was set aflame. And the words of Rick Grimes while he stalked Negan, which was it was reminiscent of Morgan stalking Gavin.
Right.
Now you're having Rick stalking Negan and the bowels of a decrepit, dilapidated building.
Yeah, like a crypt almost, you know?
But, I guess we should start off with talking about episode 12, do a little review before we do a preview.
Right.
And as seen in the preview look-ins, the Saviors are at the Sanctuary gooping up weapons, just like you saw in that clip there.
Gooping up their gnarly clip.
As part of their slash and dash scare and terror plan from Negan. First, we see Negan showing trust in Dwight, which you saw in that clip, via a libation drop-off to Dwight's room and pep talk by get your pants on, get your best vest. That's what.
Wait, what was the quote? What did he say?
Get your best vest.
Get your best vest.
Yeah.
I like it.
Which is reminiscent, because his best vest is now back with Daryl.
All right.
This is Daryl's vest, right? Next, we see Rick and Michonne entering the gates at Hilltop. Rick unites with Judith, then mourns with an apologetic Daryl. You know, once again, Daryl's here like, sorry I busted into the sanctuary with the truck. You know, sorry I gave everyone food poisoning back at the prison. Sorry I jumped at Negan and punched him, and then he bashed in Glenn's head, not just,
right.
Abraham's.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of apologies from Dwight in The Walking Dead, period.
You mean Daryl?
Oh, Daryl, yeah.
Daryl,
sorry.
right.
See what I mean? That comic has Dwight in a lot of situations where Daryl is in, and vice versa. Small little ones, but I think that's why, and plus their names start with the letter D. So
Right. Well, it's just like, Daryl's, in a way, he's always kind of stepped on Rick's toes, but not so much to where Rick's like, trying to put him in his place. Rick respects what Daryl does to help the group, but sometimes Daryl does try to take it into control, and it doesn't always work. That's where you can see, and sorry for all you Daryl fans, he wouldn't really be the greatest leader, I don't think.
Yeah,
He can make rash decisions.
I mean, when it comes to war and everyone's got it planned out and they go to execute it, as long as he's with the group, he could probably lead them. But as far as like a community and making the right decisions, like he's only had one moment where he was out after meeting up with Aaron and putting together his motorcycle of like going out and finding people.
Right.
After that, like short stint of episodes a couple seasons ago, that was it. He's just ready to kill. I mean, once Negan did what he did. Mm-hmm. And by the way, he is not a protagonist. I don't care if you watch the show and you think that, well, if I watch it through Negan's eyes only, Rick's the psychopath killer and all that. Like, well, Rick's dangerous. And I said this last week, but Negan, like, he's forcing people to sleep with him. He's forcing people to, scorch other people's faces. He's bludgeoning people to death with Lucille, I don't think Rick's doing any of that unless it's to someone just like Negan.
Right.
Rick, what else here? The plan is to set up separately and cover the area, the perimeter, not just for the Saviors that are on their way, but for walkers. I mean, everyone's united now behind the fences of Hilltop.
Right.
But more on that later. Let's talk about Maggie. Let's talk about Georgie, the new character.
Mysterious, perhaps not if you're into the comic world. A lot to talk about there, definitely.
So, let's talk about Maggie and the milk crate decision. We'll roll some footage here. While patrolling the wall perch with binoculars and Rosita, Maggie spots a milk crate with items, a note, and a balloon, I think. Turns out to be the directions to an intersection and a request to barter vinyl records for the key to the future.
Yeah, so I actually, when I first watched the episode, I missed that.
Yeah.
But that's where, like, when we ran in Georgia, I was like, wait, what the hell's going on? And you're like, you explained, Commonwealth, and I was like, wait, yeah. And then so it kind of all clicked. Yes. But I went back and rewatched that clip in preparation for today's the Walker Talkers, and I noticed that, and it was interesting. And I like how they're putting that in now because, like we've said before, the Walking Dead is taking over some other plots
and like kind of in the future, but not too far in.
Right. So it's kind of like a good way to kind of, they're taking the weight off of us in terms of the Whispers, presumably.
Correct.
And so that's going to leave, the next story to kind of perpetuate it even faster, which is.
And for you that new viewers this evening, the Whispers are characters from the comic that are a group of people that communicate through whispering, short phrases, but they skin walkers, fresh ones, and they wear them from head to toe, and they also can herd actual real walkers to their bidding. So that looks like it is going to be in Fear the Walking Dead, which will merge with the original Walking Dead. The only thing there is that they will merge in a perfect timely fashion, because I believe when they start season 9 of this show, that what they're going to do is they're going to come back, and it's going to be, it's been so many X amount of months or years, and then it'll be exactly like parallel to Fear the Walking Dead.
Right.
So a reluctant Maggie, a hope-filled Michonne, a dark Enid, because she's, going through the trauma of losing Carl and everything else, and a ninja-like Rosita, because they meet Georgie and the twins. Hilda and Midge, we'll talk about more of them later. Comedy relief of the episode.
Absolutely.
Very welcomed, too. It's better than any, Terra comedy relief, right?
Absolutely, yeah. It was very refreshing and totally up my alley in terms of humor. I literally asked Pete, I busted out laughing out loud when they started saying their comments. We'll get to that.
We'll get to that in a second. But so they have a custom off-road van. I mean, it's got a lift kit, it's got big tires on it. So there's supplies in the thing. And, with food and, master rebuild plans, Maggie takes the decision and the 3 new people to Hilltop. And Enid gets a chill pill from Michonne because she's about to do something stupid, you can tell.
Right.
And then Maggie chooses to give the records for the information. It's all about the information that's in this woman, Georgie, her head. And she's also the spitting image artwork-wise of this woman, Pamela, that's in charge of the Commonwealth in the most current issues of the Walking Dead comic. It was a wise choice, though, by Maggie, because to show a good standing and appreciation, Georgie adds a load of food for the Hilltop, as well as the aforementioned key to the future. It's a book for rebuilding. It's basically humans, medieval time achievements, all wrapped into one book. And you watch the episode. It's everything from building buildings to aqueducts to all that stuff that you need to survive and build up.
It's how to rebuild a civilization from the ground up. Yeah.
And so we learned a lot about this episode, and we have a lot more to our palate to chew on and think about for future seasons. But there are 3 words though that stand out, and I should have started the episode with this, but Libersticky.
Yes.
Clumph. and moisture.
Moisture.
Yeah. Yeah, that word really moist. It bothers people more than I thought.
A lot of people don't like that word. I really don't mind it. It's whatever.
One thing for sure, Maggie had hope in her eyes for the first time in a while. I mean, you kind of seen her drowning in her sorrows and her hate and wondering if they're going to write her off or if they're going to kill her off or what. But at least now with the whole, she's got the book, the key to the future, maybe it'll make a difference. But before we get to the best part, Rick hunting Negan down, that is, we might as well have what could be our last lengthy talk about Simon. Simon is the right-hand man of Negan. Well, I guess Lucille here is probably the true right-hand man, woman, bat, whatever you want to call it. But Simon is basically the top dog under Negan. And he's the number 2. He is already in hot water after the scavenger slaughter. He showed, as predicted, his continued doubts in Negan's plans for Rick's extended group now.
Right.
And not only did Simon play it well, but the actor that played Simon, that is, but you can sense his doubt before the caravan of the Saviors left the sanctuary. And then Simon speaks out about his doubts to Dwight.
Yes.
On the ride in the big box truck, he makes it very clear he thinks Rick, the widow of the King's group, will never obey under Negan's methods. And he starts off by saying, what could be, it's basically, sorry, I'm a little, this is basically the quote, could be one of the quotes of the show, and that is this. I have to get the character. I wish I had like a Hulk Hogan mustache for this, but, he goes, he's talking to Dwight, goes, come on, D, let's rap here.
Let's rap.
Let's get candid. Let's get weird. There's nobody here but us chickens. Top guy to top guy, I just want you to know my analysis, and I want to know your analysis if you believe these people are going to cave after we deliver yet what amounts to yet another warning. Negan's all about, kill 1, maybe 2.
Right.
And everyone will get in the line. That conversation happened around the same time Rick was out scouting for the Saviors, and perched on his truck in high ground, Rick spots Negan bringing up the rear by himself. So instead of Negan driving in the front or in the middle of the caravan,
right,
he's in his black Dodge,
just chilling, looking at Lucille in the bucket of guts.
Rick was about to honk the horn to let everyone know in the perimeter that they're over here, but he's like, you know what? I'm going for it. He hopped in his Ford Explorer, whatever it was, and it was Fast and Furious Part 10.
Well, that's where
Walking Dead style.
He didn't follow his own plan in that degree. Well,
right.
In terms of, he kind of went off on his own.
Yeah, and how many times has he done that this season?
A lot. This season especially.
Like every episode
He's
almost,
went rogue
right?
a lot. Absolutely. And he did it again here.
Some of the best scenes, though.
But some of the best scenes.
Yeah.
And it leads to Negan's car getting T-boned and flipped.
Yes.
And then the best part of the episode, the most exciting. This episode was so exciting in many factors, but this part, as a big fan of hero-villain battles from animes and other various forms of media, this was a great one.
Yes.
I enjoyed it, and it really was. It was a hero-villain battle.
Yeah, and even for people that are kind of having doubts and they're not sure if they want to keep watching, but they can't help but to keep watching, it's the fact that if you just started watching this and you saw the car chase and you saw the stalking and the battle scene that we're going to talk to at the end of the show, because it was basically the best part of this episode. It captures you and it captures your attention. The only sad thing is if you're going to watch The Walking Dead this evening, starting any second now, I guess, you're going to have to sit through commercial breaks. So if that happens, you can start us from the top on PanNerdia right here.
Right.
Or you could pause us and go back and forth between shows.
Well, hey, I say let's show them that little clip right now of that, and then it'll give us a good rolling point to discuss that entire situation.
Yeah,
this part was so dope, and Peter's prediction came. You guys heard it first here on PanNerdia. Peter said it himself, the second episode, I think, of the Walker Talkers, that Lucille was gonna burn, and we'll check it out real quick.
Yeah, let's do that.
Boom.
Beautiful. Most of these effects, by the way, everybody, they are totally they basically took big part of it and
This dungeon, this crypt, this cube, really gets it. They really hyped up this scene, the lore.
This is you first.
best walkers.
Eater's room, for sure. Yes. And we loved it. Yeah, just like this, which I've been kind of showing you guys throughout the set. It's got these little glow sticks on, so when it swings real fast, which camera's catching it pretty good. In a dark room, it's gonna catch that. It's gonna have that stream to it.
I couldn't believe it. And you know what? Oh, let me just go read this real quick. Besides Simon making a series of bad decisions, blockading the Saviors in to try to go find Negan and see if he's dead or not, with Dwight trying to talk Dwight into, basically leaving all the people alone at Hilltop and moving on without Negan and finding other communities to take over kind of thing. But, Simon changed his mind real quick towards the end of the episode and wants to slaughter everybody. We'll get to that at the end. But I love the intensity of Rick driving and shooting and swinging and slashing after Negan. By far a favorite in the series of Rick scenes of all time.
Yeah, and then when they finally get into that house, when he gets them kind of trapped, and Negan's got the high ground, but Rick doesn't give a shit and throws the axe, the hatchet.
Yes.
Negan dodges, rolls, and falls off the banister and then falls down to the tomb, right?
Yes.
And then once they're in the tomb, it's not only just an awesome chase before they get to that sweet-ass fire battle in the crypt, in the Eater's room. They're actually still talking and discussing while they're looking for each other, like, why are we doing this and that, and going back and forth and saying it's their fault. I can't remember all the banter, but particularly what is said is that Rick states, you had to slaughter all of, and remind me again, name.
He brings up Jadis's people, the scavengers. He goes, really, Negan? Is that how you do it? You just slaughter a whole community? And he's like, what are you talking about? It was the scavengers. You killed every one of them, mowed them down. I saw aftermath myself. And Negan knew right away, Simon. And so now you know. So now you know Simon's got to die coming up tonight, and tonight's The Walking Dead.
That's the secret character on the Talking Dead couch.
I don't know when, but it's got to happen tonight. And yeah, he might be the secret cast member. But, I'm going to go over this real quick. But, the bucket of Walker chum with Lucille in it being such a dirty girl, that was priceless. You saw in our little scrolling pictures there of Lucille in the bucket of chum and Negan just looking over at her and sitting shotgun, buckled in, like, oh, you pretty girl.
Right.
And that, as well as when he ran into the building that said stay out, and he was ready to swing that baseball bat at Rick. Rick he fired everything in his machine gun, ran out of bullets, got out his pistol or whatever, and he baseball slid into the room, so Negan swung and missed.
I love it.
And that started the whole, inside a dilapidated building scene, and everything he said, too, like, what are you talking about, save? How do you, he brought up the scavengers getting slaughtered, but he also brought up really good points about how Negan's not the protagonist, no matter what Chris Hardwick or anyone says, just to sort of play devil's advocate or whatever.
I agree with you, though.
He's Rick Grimes says to Negan, you force people to sleep with you, people that are, women that are, whether they're married or not, have loved ones. You force people to, scar other people, using the iron and stuff. You bludgeon people to death. Lucille over here, that's something Rick might be crazy and very vengeful at this point, but he's not bashing people's brains in unless it's Negan, of course. But as Negan readies to swing Lucille, I already said that part. I already said that part too. Well, stalking Negan in the dark. Yep, mentioned that too. Rick uses Glenn's lighter fluid. That's a big one. Rick was using Glenn's lighter fluid to soil and set Lucille aflame.
Oh, that's so,
That's so meaningful.
Oh, man.
I mean, the bat that bashed Glenn's brains in is now set aflame by Glenn's lighter fluid. I mean, that's poetic in itself.
So much so. I love it.
Negan tackles Rick into the Eater's room in the scene we showed you. And even though Negan got away from Rick, he now knows Simon disobeyed him. And ironically, he shortly thereafter is captured by Jadis.
Which was a great way to end the episode.
Oh my gosh. I mean, the fact that Rick gave up on her makes you wonder, is Negan going to work with Jadis to get back at least at Simon? Or is she going to take Negan back to the dump and chain him up and make him Walker lunch? Or is there a third option that's going to happen?
Yeah, right. Hey, look who sounded off in the comments.
Hey, look, Mr. Nick Banks. Oh yes, he is learning too much. Nick is a new Walking Dead fan. He just finished 3 seasons, and
what's going on, Banks?
Working on 4th season, I hope. And now you've got, Mr. Banks, you've got a little less than 4 weeks to watch the second half of the Walking Dead world, which is seasons 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever. And maybe by then you can go to the Sunday extravaganza, April 15th, the season ender finale / Fear the Walking,
which we got something
premiere.
special set up for you guys on that night.
Yes.
Stay tuned for that.
We'll probably announce exactly what and where we're going to be what exactly we'll be doing for our final show for season 8 next week. So yes, stay tuned for that.
All right, man. So, what do we think's gonna happen? What do we think's gonna happen next week?
Well, predictions.
Or today, I should say. I apologize. What do we think's gonna happen on episode 13? Lucky number 13, in just about less than 10 minutes.
Oh, wow. We really pulled it off this week, didn't we?
Right.
Well, as far as the sneak peek scenes that we saw on at the end of last week's episode, you know, the trifecta of Jerry and the other two, like, dudes that don't have many lines from the Hilltop / Alexandria.
Right.
They're up there and they're like, oh, it's time. Like, they basically, Simon decided, let's go now, like, in a hurry, like, without anything planned. Like, let's just go in there and threaten them. And then there's Carol saying, you know, maybe we've got one more night if we're lucky. I don't know what that means. I guess that means they're low on supplies and she thinks they're outnumbered. Rick's loading his pistol at Hilltop, at the steps on Hilltop. So we know everyone's together and ready for Simon, I guess. And so everyone's preparing for a little night attack. And then there's finally Simon shows up, by the way, wearing a leather jacket.
Huh.
Sets up for an attack. He then talks to Maggie on a walkie-talkie. And his threat is met by Maggie's, I got 38 prisoners and 38 bullets.
Because apparently they're all Negan, right?
How convenient, 38 bullets. So, yeah, I mean, with Simon in charge, Hilltop groups are at least temporarily screwed. Jadis is absolutely on a mission there from Heapster Hell. That's the nickname for the scavengers that are all dead now. They're like not hipsters, but heapsters. They live in a heap, a dump.
A heap, and now they're part of the heap.
Correct.
In a meat soup.
And Georgie and the twins, Hilda and Midge, are they straight out of the Commonwealth?
That's the biggest mystery, man.
Those are the biggest things there. That's kind of not really a prediction. That's more of a projection for the future.
Right.
So as far as predictions, I think
Simon's kicking the bucket.
Simon's kicking the bucket, and maybe if Maggie had to pick like the first guy to like shoot to show that like she does have 38 prisoners, 38 bullets, she might take out that punk. God, I forget his name. The long-haired guy.
Oh yeah, I don't care about his name.
I finally got it down, and then I decided, like, you know what? His character's probably not worth stressing that much about the name because he will die.
Yeah, he's gone. Right?
And
I think they're just waiting for a sweet death with him.
I just hope it's a Walker death. I hope he gets, like ripped open and stuff like that. Something fun and gory. It is. It is what it is.
And yeah, man, I think that's about it for that episode in terms of 13. I don't think there's going to be anything too crazy. I don't think anybody too big's going. I think if anything, it's going to be a heel. A heel is getting kicked off.
I do have a hunch that there's going to be
a
surprise death. I don't know if it's going to be like an Enid kind of level character where it's like a main character, but not like a main like leader.
Right.
But the way that people are talking on comicbook.com and Entertainment Weekly and just out there in the Walking Dead universe, I think tonight's secret guest that's going to be sitting on the couch next to Scott Gimple, as well as next to our boy Michael Rooker, which used to be Merle, Daryl's brother from seasons 1 and then kind of in 3. And
I've seen him in real life. At the St. Louis Wizard Con, their little Comic Con.
Cool.
He was a panelist there and signed autographs. Obviously, I wouldn't.
That was for.
I didn't want to pay to get an autograph.
That was for Guardians of the Galaxy. He was promoting
for
that.
Just in general, though.
Oh, that's right.
I guess he was there, but they even had like his Merle picture on his big banner they had, and yeah. So I got to see him in person. I was like, hey, and I was probably about 15 feet away from him, 10 feet. Just got a real good look at him, like. This is registered in my head. I've seen this guy in real life. Okay, good to go.
Yeah.
That's all I needed.
So there you go. There's a preview, a review, and little predictions there. Please, if you have any predictions and you're also caught up, or if you just want to just mention anything about the Walking Dead universe, use our comment section, like us. please subscribe. We'd really appreciate that.
Absolutely, we would, because there's plenty more content coming to PanNerdia as we grow. Like I said, the Walker Talkers was kind of a soft opening for PanNerdia, and with new shows on the horizon, as well as shows that I love dear to my heart, like Dragon Ball Super, are ending. There's plenty of content about that coming. And best of all, the thing I'm most nerdy about, art itself. Plenty of that is on its way. I'm actually looking at a big painting behind this screen, behind this camera, that will be on this channel soon, time-lapse, for all you to see, about something I like. And you know what? Since I'm feeling so happy and generous right now, I got something a little special for you guys. That kind of goes with this episode tonight. Negan.
I've been looking forward to this for weeks now, because this has been developed by Aaron here a long while ago.
Right, about a little over a year ago now.
And it's original, just like the Walker Talkers and the PanNerdia universe that you're going to get to see in coming weeks and months.
It's all about creation here, man, and we like to create. And I created a little something for you. Hip-hop song with my alter ego, Leo. Coming right at you with his prelude to the Vice Grip album, Negan.
Nice.
And we'll see you guys next week on the Walker Talkers. Enjoy episode 13.
Lippersticky clump moisture.
Feel the tempo from the tempest, thundering through the thick mist. Vicious winds must be shifting. That's just the beginning. I'm a complex individual, so motherfucking wicked. Giving all my inner soldiers show dimensions, splitting in my head. As I wish it in a catastrophic sense of my calm lad in combat. But in my defense, it's a chemical imbalance for a violence event. But I'd rather have my channels for my gossips. I'm a Jameson. Doing famous is a sin in the eyes, but just like sex and war, you have to commit to realize that the Lord of Light ignores you, despite what you might have thought was righteous. You gotta love blood and gore if you wanna survive, bitch. Cause the night is dark and full of terrorist barriers. Put up with a shield to deal with my nefarious thoughts. I'm lost, my fear is that my life is too precarious. But the scariest of my demons is just like a hungry pit bull terrier. Don't let hysteria be the reason you're leaving the area still breathing. It's quite hilarious, but ever since the fall of Eden, we're all Negan. The prologue, the vice grip. I hope you liked it.